welcome back to my channel. Now today's video is super exciting because for the first time ever, we're going to be touring wedding venues here in Norway. So the top 3 venues that we're going to be touring in this video are going to be the Kleivstua Hotel, which is about an hour away from where we live. We're also going to be touring the Losby Gods Hotel and Golf Club, which is about a 20-minute drive. And lastly, we're going to be looking at the Bogstad Manor and Farm, which is about another 30-minute drive away from where we live here in Lillestrøm. So yeah, those are the top 3 wedding venues we're going to be touring today. I am super excited. I have never done anything like this ever before, but we're really looking forward to it. All of them look gorgeous. I do have a secret favorite, but we'll see how I feel about it after actually visiting all of these places. Unfortunately, we can't go and tour all of them in one day because they are so far away from each other. So we're actually going to be driving to the Kleivstua Hotel first on this weekend, and then the following weekend we're going to be going to Losby Gods on Saturday and Bogstad Farm and Manor on Sunday. So yeah, without further ado, let's start touring the wedding venues. So for our first wedding venue we toured, we drove an hour west of Oslo to the famous Kleivstua Hotel. This historic hotel is very famous, and even some of the past kings and queens of Norway have visited it.
See part of the cabin.
There it is.
There's one of the
There it
cabins.
is.
Oh my goodness.
There it is.
Here, that's it. That's it, we're here.
But despite its rustic looking appearance, it is quite modern. The interior of the big house has been completely refurnished, and it has everything you would need to run a full-fledged wedding. They are actually a very popular spot for weddings. Our guide was telling us that they are fully booked for all of 2025, and they usually see a wedding every single weekend for the entire year, even in winter. The best part about this wedding venue though was that all of the little red cabins that you're seeing, these are actually rooms that our guests could spend the night in. And even better, the hotel told us that they offer discounts if people spend Friday to Sunday there. And it's actually really affordable, especially considering the prices of hotels in Oslo. And this is really important because my entire side of the wedding will be flying in from the United States. So it's really important that they're able to have really good accommodation during the wedding weekend. The cabins are also super Norwegian and have a really cozy classic feel to them with a lot of authentic furniture and touches on the inside. So I think being able to stay in this kind of cute little cabin in the Norwegian mountains would be a big plus and a great experience for all of my family. I mean, even walking around the property, we noticed a bunch of sheep just wandering around the parking lot and walking up and down in the forest. It was just such a great experience, and I think it'll really give people that authentic Norwegian feel. During our tour, I also really loved the cocktail hour and the reception space, which were all kind of connected to the big yellow house in the middle of the property. So for the cocktail hour, we were thinking it would be really fun to have it on the roof of the yellow house so that you get this great view of the entire estate and also of the mountains and the fjord in the distance. And since we're having a rather smaller wedding, I think it'll be the perfect size and definitely enough space for everybody. Now on the inside of the yellow house is where we'd be having the reception, and this was also very beautiful. I think it's important to have an indoor reception in Norway because there's a lot of rain here and you can never predict the weather even in the summer. And this restaurant was just so beautiful. My favorite part by far was the giant panoramic windows overlooking the mountains and the forest. And it was actually just a really big space in general. The ceilings looked really low in photos, but in person it felt a lot more airy, which I was very happy about. And I really just like the idea of getting this giant glass panoramic area to be the backdrop of our first dance and of all of our toasts. And it's just so beautiful, and the natural light in there is a really big plus for me. Also, our guide is telling us that if we want to have the ceremony outdoors, that is a very common choice, and we would just be having it on the grass in front of the yellow house overlooking the fjord and the mountains once again. But of course, if there is bad weather, they do have a backup ceremony space. This one is, less beautiful, of course, because it's inside, but it does have a lot of natural lighting and it does have a really high ceiling, which is important, I think. And I think with some decorations, it could really be transformed and be beautiful. Another great thing is that this place also offers a bridal suite and a groom suite. They have this giant building along the ceremony space, which they call the Longhouse, and in there is the bridal suite. It comes equipped with its own private kitchen. It has a lot of furniture and these giant windows, like ceiling to floor windows, that overlook the little pond and the mountains once again. And with all that natural light, it's just the perfect getting ready space. And I think the getting ready photos would be gorgeous, and I would get to have my mom and my grandma in there with me, and there's just so much space. I really like the bridal suite. Our guide was also telling us that it's really popular for couples after the ceremony to take a 10-minute walk through the forest to this overview of the entire valley below and the fjord below. And I saw some of the photos online of the bridal portraits and they are just gorgeous. You're kind of standing on this cliff with this like flowing grass and the backdrop with the little islands and the water. It's just so beautiful. It would be an absolute dream to get pictures taken here. So yeah, those were the main points of the Kleivstua Hotel wedding venue. I think it's amazing. It really has everything we're looking for. It has a rooftop where we could have cocktail hour. The restaurant with the panoramic windows is just perfect for a reception and the after party. And we have a good outdoor ceremony option where we could have everybody sit on the grass. And they do have the backup indoor option, which I'm never going to be a fan of the indoor option, but it's good to have. And this is one of the only ones that I did research on that actually has a bridal suite and a place for the groom to get ready as well. And I really like the idea that all of our guests could just spend the entire weekend up there with us and get their own cute little Norwegian cabin, and we could go hiking and just have the full authentic Norwegian like cabin camping experience up there. It just seems like a really fun and unique wedding idea.
Well, we're done with the tour for today, and I think it is an amazing first venue we looked at. We're in love with it. We're gonna check out a couple different other ones, but I think we might have a winner. We'll just have to wait and see.
But yeah, that was our first wedding venue we toured. And after that, we moved to the next weekend where we went and toured the Losby Gods Hotel and Golf Club. Now, this second property we toured was actually only a 20-minute drive from where we lived here in Lillestrøm. And when we were doing our tour there, we were extra lucky because they were actually having a wedding that very same day. So we were able to see the entire space set up for an actual wedding and an actual ceremony. Now, similar to the previous venue, this is also a hotel, so guests can spend the night here and so can we. Although it's not necessarily a must-have like with the other hotel. Because the other hotel was an hour drive away, that would definitely be a must-have for everybody to spend the night. But with this one, because it's a lot closer to Oslo, it's only 30 minutes from Oslo and 20 minutes from us, people could easily access this location and get home the same night if they need to. So it's not a requirement, but I think we would at least spend the night of the wedding in the hotel just for convenience. During the tour, we got to see the outdoor ceremony space, which I absolutely loved. I think I might even love this one more than the previous one just because of all the little touches. This one has the pond in the background with the little bridge, and it has a tiny little Norwegian cabin there with the grass roof, so you get that in the backdrop as well. It's pretty secluded, so it's in this kind of grove of trees and you're up there all alone. You get to have the chairs on the grass with your backdrop just being this beautiful nature landscape. Of course, you're not so high up in the mountains like the other one that you get this panoramic view of the valley below, but I do like the touch of the pond and the little cabin and the kind of secluded nature of the forest surrounding you. This one also had a backup indoor ceremony space, which would be in the ballroom. So this is where you could get married if it is raining, and I do really like this space too, just because the ceilings are so high and they have these giant windows with the sun streaming in and these really pretty chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. We also got to take a walk around the space and see the outdoor patio area, which I think would be great for any kind of cocktail hour. I like that you're kind of elevated above the property and you can see out into the golf course, and there's already a lot of outdoor furniture there that we could utilize for the cocktail hour, which is great. And then you could go inside and then be led up to the ballroom for the reception dinner afterwards. Even the interior of this hotel is really nice. It has this classic, elegant feel to it, but it still maintains this kind of historic vibe to it. It is a manor, similar to a lot of the historical hotels on the Norway Historical Hotel database, but it's been repurposed to a hotel. There are a lot of rooms. It's very modern. It's fully equipped with all of the staff you need to run a full wedding. They are also a very popular wedding spot and have weddings all summer, all the time. So they're very well equipped and I would totally trust them with running the day. This one, to be fully transparent, is the most expensive one that we are currently looking at. Another thing that we're thinking about with this one though is that unlike the other one, which is really high up in the mountains and kind of far away from the city, this one is a lot closer and it is a very popular golfing spot for a lot of people. And they also do hold a lot of public events here at the manor and golf course. I know in the summer they'll often have concerts a lot that are open to the public. The thing is with this one, because it is open to the public and open to golfers, you can't exactly rent out the entire space private just for your wedding day. So there is the chance that there could be like a public concert happening in the background, or you could have just other guests staying at the hotel or people golfing in the background of your cocktail hour. So that is something to also keep in mind. But I do really think that the manor is absolutely gorgeous and the location is unbeatable. I mean, it's only like a 20-minute drive from where we live, and everybody could easily get there and get home the same night, which is a big deal when it comes to a wedding, I think. But that brings us to the final venue, and this was the Bogstad Manor and Farm. Now, this one was a little different than the other ones as well. The past two that we looked at were both hotels, so all of our guests could spend the night there after the wedding or even before it if they wanted to, whereas the Bogstad Manor and Farm is not a hotel. It is actually a museum and a garden estate. So you can rent it out for private events like weddings, and they do have a designated event space, but the main manor itself is actually a museum and you cannot actually go inside the manor, which is a bummer, but you can use the estate, the outside area, for any kind of event you want, and they do have a designated indoor venue if you want to have an indoor party, but that's not attached to the main manor itself. That's kind of like a farm building to the side. Thankfully, this one is closer to us as well. It's also only about a 30-minute drive west of where we live, and there's easy public transportation and parking there for our guests to use. The thing is though, because this is primarily a museum and not a hotel or anything, they don't have on-site staff or caterers to help with your event, so you do have to bring all of that in from outside. So you'd have to hire your own bartenders and your own catering service. Of course, the venue does provide rentals, cutlery, all of that if you're doing it on the inside in the farmhouse, but if you want to do anything outside, you're going to have to bring in your own furniture. Another downside of this is there is no bridal suite or groom suite, so we're thinking if we did go with this one, we would have to have a hotel somewhere off-site, get ready there, drive to the Bogstad Manor and Garden, and then we would have our ceremony and reception there, and then we would all have to drive home again after. The outdoor area around the manor is absolutely gorgeous. The manor sits along this beautiful river, and you're actually able to have an outdoor ceremony right on the water, under the trees. There's like little forests everywhere. There's bridges that go over streams. The exterior of the manor itself is beautiful, and it's very common that you have your cocktail hour just in front of the manor outside after you're done with your ceremony down by the water. And then usually what happens is then you flow on into the farmhouse where you have your reception inside the farmhouse. The only problem with the reception space is that there's a lot of support beams and it's really dark and there's no natural lighting. So I'm not super in love with that. And also that is the backup indoor ceremony space if the weather is bad, and that's not great either. What you can do alternatively is have a fully outdoor wedding, but of course that'll really add to the cost. What you can do is you can have your ceremony on the water, cocktail hour in front of the manor, and then finally you can set up a tent inside in the courtyard of the manor. So it's still outside, so you would still have to bring in your own tent, floor, heating, electricity, speakers, furniture, etc. So that's kind of like building up your wedding from the ground up, but you do get to utilize the exterior of this beautiful manor and also have your ceremony on the property. So it is a major task. If we were to go here, I think we would definitely do a fully outdoor wedding just because of how dark the interior of the farmhouse is. But the outside part and the nature part of Bogstad Gård is one of my favorites. It is just so serene and peaceful. And unlike the Losby Gods, this one is also more secluded because it is a museum that closes very early in the daytime to the public, so you would have the whole place private for your event. But yeah, those were the top 3 wedding venues that we toured from my list. They all had really great things to offer and were all super unique in their own way. First two, of course, being that they are hotels, they are all inclusive, they have great indoor and outdoor options for ceremonies and receptions. It's just so nice thinking that all of our family and friends can spend an entire weekend up in the mountains with us and just stay on site and get to fully celebrate for days this amazing wedding event. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and so many people are traveling from really far away. I want to really give them the full Norwegian experience and get to be around them as long as possible, because some of these people I hardly ever see anymore since I moved to Norway. So it's really important to me to be able to spend as much time as possible with our guests. And of course, all of the nature in all 3 locations is just unbeatable. The outside was beautiful in all of them. You were either in the mountains or in the forest, or you just had this like beautiful river backdrop. I don't think you can go wrong if you're having an outdoor wedding, really, anywhere in Norway. It's just so beautiful. But anyway, after touring all three, me and my fiance have really been processing everything we've seen, everywhere we've toured, and we actually have come to a decision, and we have already contacted one of the venues and put down a placeholder date for a potential wedding in summer of 2026. For now, I'm going to be keeping our venue a secret, but I'm really curious, so please comment down below which venue you think we picked, and I'm also really curious to hear from you which one was your favorite. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us on this wedding venue tour. I'm so excited to be able to kick off wedding planning in this way. It's going to be so excited, and I can't wait to take you all along for this journey of planning a wedding in Norway. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!